Hey guys, can you guess what I'm doing here? I've got some scotch bonnet pepper, shadow benny, onion, garlic, doing all kind of nice thing in some vegetable oil there. Chris here, CaribbeanPot.com. Guys, thanks for joining me in my kitchen again today. Today we're doing mango amchar. Hey, this is one of those things I grew up with. I remember my mom giving me my 50-cent allowance for the day for primary school, and I'd head straight to the vendors outside the school and I would buy me some of this stuff here. And what goes in there is the green mango. I've got them all cut up and nice and ready to go. We've got that amchar masala. Hey, there's all kind of good things happening here. This is one of those nice spicy condiments you're just gonna love. Hey, Chris here, CaribbeanPot.com. It's your first time watching me on YouTube. Above, click subscribe. All the latest videos are going to be sent to you. Below is where you're going to leave me your questions, comments, concerns, anything you want to chat about. Leave it down there. Maybe you want to see a recipe video of some sort or the other. Leave it down there. Show your boy some love and give the video a thumbs up. So here we go. We're making this wicked, triple this time, mango Talkari. Look what I got on. CaribbeanPot.com, hey, t-shirt and thing, we gone international. Let's quickly run through the ingredients here. And on the far side here, I've got 2 huge green mangoes. You need green mangoes nice and firm. This one is a little bit on the half-ripe side of things, but it's nice and firm. It's going to be nice and tart. We left the skin on there, and I'll show you guys how to cut that up. So two huge green mangoes on the far side up here, and this is the real star of the show, amchar masala, and I've got 2 tablespoons of that here. You're gonna have to really go to a West Indian grocery store to get that, because it's something that's, I think it may be unique to the Caribbean, especially places like Trinidad and Tobago and Guyana, I'm guessing. But I know for sure because this one here is out of Trinidad and Tobago, amchar masala. Try your favorite West Indian grocery store. A teaspoon of salt. And this here is something totally optional. It's not in the traditional recipe for this. However, I like adding a little bit of curry powder. I've got some Madras curry powder here, and that's just about maybe a teaspoon or so of that Madras curry powder. 1 small onion. I've got 3 heaping tablespoons of brown sugar, because this is going to have a sort of a sweet savory side to things as well too. 4 cloves of garlic. I've got maybe about 2.5 to 3 tablespoons of vegetable oil. Can't forget the Caribbean sunshine. This is one of those hot and spicy condiments. So I've got a scotch bonnet pepper here. I'm going to be using seeds and everything. If you want to control the heat, I'm going to show you in a second once I cut this up what to do to try and control the heat but get a ton of flavor from this pepper. Traditionally, when I make this, and I like it fiery, I use 2 of these scotch bonnet peppers. So your boy real brave in that sense. And finally, this here is shadow benny, also known as culantro in many of the Asian food stores, the Hispanic or Latino food stores. You'll find that in as well. Try a West Indian store, Asian store, or Latino grocery stores for this. It'll be called culantro or shadow benny. In some cases, it may be called bandania. If you can't get this shadow benny, use about 4 to 5 tablespoons of chopped cilantro. It has pretty much the same flavor as the shadow benny, except the shadow benny is a bit more pungent. If I forgot anything, speaking about forgot, we're going to need some water, anywhere from 1.5 to 2 cups of water, because we really got to cook this down to get it nice and tender the way we want it to. If I forgot anything, I will mention it as we go along, as I usually do. So here's pretty much how you would cut up this mango for making the mango Talkari. And first of all, we got to try and remove this piece of label that we got on here. Just discard that. I've washed this mango. I'm just going to give it a quick dry. Peel that all off. So I've got a nice green mango here. So the first thing I'm going to do is to cut the stem off the very top here. And I'm just going to discard it. So there's the mango with the stem off. We don't need that. To make this easy to handle, because you know this is going to be rocking all over the place, to make it easy to handle, what I'm going to do is trim a piece of this part here off first. I'm hoping you guys can see this there. So all I'm going to do is cut a slice off, and we're going to use that as well. So I have a flat surface, so with the flat surface I have it, it won't rock. So what I'm going to do now, and you need a cleaver, something heavy, something very sharp, because there's a hard seed in the middle of this mango. And all I'm going to do is get to the middle of it and go down, and then you got to really, and this is why I'm using this old chopping board here, you've really got to sort of hammer down on it to cut it open. And there you can see that hard seed, sort of hard seed. That is okay on this side here. So now what I'm going to do here is to start cutting this into maybe about 1/2 inch pieces. So there we go. Remember, we're leaving the skin on as well. Because of that hard seed, that's why I'm getting that sort of problem. But as you can see, I have it here maybe about 1/2 inch thick. And I'm just going to continue doing that. I do apologize for it being loud, but there's no other way for me to do this that's going to be quiet. Now the part here, and I'm just going to move this over, the part here with a bit of seed may be a little bit hard to cut, so I will have to give it a little bit of a force. There we go. So I've got one piece of that mango all cut up now. The other piece here is going to be a bit more hard because we have a lot of that seed there, so it is going to get a bit loud. And I'm getting nice pieces of mango here. Just going to continue doing that, and then I'm going to show you something in the middle of the seed here that you've got to remove. In the middle of the mango seed, you will find this sort of white, I'm not sure how best, almost chalky but not chalky sort of interior inside the seed. So all you're going to do is pull that back, clean that out, any little pieces you find in there. So it had to be a pain, man. There we go. There's that piece I'm talking about. Discard that. And the hard seed part here, which we usually call the bone of the mango, leave that intact. That's going to hold everything in place. We've got one mango done here. I'm just going to go ahead and do the other mango now. Here's a better view of that sort of seed I was talking about. So here's the mango. I cut it in half, and that sort of interior that I told you you've got to toss out. This is it here. I'm just going to scrape that out and trim it. So this is good to get cut up now. Again, on this one here, same thing. Just going to take that out, discard it, and then cut up the mango as we did with the piece earlier. So it's pretty much just pretty straightforward to cut up the onion. Just a thin slice. Push that aside, and then we're just going to trim the little stem off the garlic. Press down on them with the back of your knife. And give those a rough chop as well. Set that aside. Now with the scotch bonnet pepper, I'm just going to slice it in half so I'm better able to show you what I was referring to earlier. If you want, and you should be wearing gloves when using these scotch bonnet peppers, I'm a pro, hey. Pros don't need to wear gloves, right? Trust me, if I were to touch my eyes right now after touching this pepper, I'll be in trouble. So two things, wear gloves and use soap and water every time after touching these. These guys are painful. This sort of seed area here, let me just, yeah, there we go. This is where the majority of heat is when it comes to hot pepper. Now, I want that raw heat. I want that fire. I want that vibe. This mango Talkari have to be live. So I want that heat. I'm going to keep that. But if you guys want to control that heat a little bit, cut this out, discard it, and any sort of white membrane around it, cut it and discard it as well. All I'm going to do is give these peppers a rough chop. And with everything all chopped up and ready to go. Oh, actually, we've got the shadow Benny. I'm just going to give that a rough chop as well. Take off the sort of bottom stem, and I've already washed these here, so in case if you're wondering, you do need to wash it. Give that a rough chop as well. Put it together and pretty much thin slices. And we're all set to go start cooking this mango Talkari now. I've got a big pan, high heat, nice and warm there. So the very first thing we're going to do is toss in that vegetable oil. And move it around the pot a little bit just to coat the bottom of the pot, the entire bottom of the pot. And right away what we're going to do, we're going to toss in that chopped up onion and garlic in there. And we want that to sweat down a little bit. So I'm going to reduce my heat. My heat was on high all the while. I'm going to reduce my heat to a medium low and let that cook to sort of release all that nice garlic and onion goodness for about 2 or 3 minutes. The edges of the garlic and onion is starting to go a nice little brown color. I've been stirring it. It's been about 3 minutes. The flavor in here is outstanding. You can really smell it. Now guys, this step here, you've got to turn that fan on over your stove. You've got to open up your windows. And you may hear me choking because what I'm going to do here now is I want to toss in that sliced up scotch bonnet pepper in here. If you've never worked with scotch bonnet peppers, and I'm giving you a fair warning now, once that hit that oil, it's going to start releasing a lot of pungency, a lot of heat, a lot of fire. And we really want to toast up that pepper to do that. However, it will become rather choking. So here goes. In goes that pepper and the chopped up shadow benny. Everything is going in there now. And I'm just going to give that a quick stir. We just want this to go for about a minute before we add the curry powder as well as the amchar masala. Now remember what I said, windows open, fan above the stove on. It is going to get a bit stifling. It's been about a minute now since I added that pepper. The garlic has gone a little bit more dark. The onion is starting to go dark. So in goes that amchar masala, as well as that little bit of curry powder I told you about. Remember what I said, that curry powder is totally optional. All you want to do is give this a good stir. Just to toast that curry powder and that amchar masala a little bit. I'm going to leave that in there for about a minute. Let it toast down. I have my heat all the way down to low. With the mango in the pot here now, I've tossed it all together. Nice and coated. The bottom of the pan is starting to dry up. Now here's the thing guys. Traditionally I've seen this done another way. Usually people pre-boil the green mango in just plain old salted water. Discard that water, excuse me, discard that water, and then they would get to the actual cooking process. In this case here, we're actually cooking the mango in its own juices because I want to retain that mango flavor, that tartness, that green sort of, it's very hard to explain, but trust me on this. So if you want to pre-boil and pre-cook this mango before doing this, that is also an option, but trust me, you're going to love it this way. All I'm going to do now is add water to the pot. I'm going to end up adding 2 cups of water. I'm going to turn my heat up because I want that to come up to a boil. Then we're going to add in that salt, as well as that lovely brown sugar. Give that a quick stir and bring that up to a boil. It's been about 3 minutes since I turned up the heat to high, and this is bubbling away like crazy. Here we got all kind of good music happening in that pot there. What we're going to do now is turn that heat down to like a medium low, because we want this to be on a rolling boil. We want to burn off that liquid, but not too quickly. The whole idea here is to tenderize this mango, and you're going to have to keep stirring it. It will lose its shape, it will lose its form, it's going to go limp, it's going to go a different color altogether. The whole idea here is to get this infused with that amchar masala and pepper and garlic and whoo, all kind of good things. So here we go, we're going to keep this on. I'm going to put the lid back on here, stir it every 3 or 4 minutes, and let it become nice and tender. It's been about 35 minutes. The mango is nice and tender now, but I've still got a fair amount of liquid on the bottom of the pan here. As you can see, just going to toss that on top of it. I kept stirring it every 5-10 minutes or so. So what we need to do, being the mango is nice and tender and fully cooked all the way through, we need to burn off some of this liquid. I want it a little bit more dry. So I'm just going to turn up my heat and let that burn off for maybe a couple minutes or so, just until I have a nice thick mango talkari on the bottom. After opening up the pot, after this has been cooking for 35 minutes, the flavor that came out of there, that scent, that rich, earthy, spicy, ooh, smelling nice. I'm sure it's going to taste lovely. Depending on the mango that you use, because there's so many different types of mango out there, depending on the mango you use, it may still be a little bit tart, so you may need to add just a touch more salt. And if you want a little bit more savory, you can add a little bit more sugar in there as well. And remember, you can, it's getting thicker faster than I thought it would, but remember, you can also add more scotch bonnet peppers to this if you really want to kick up the heat level. After a couple minutes on that high heat, this is nice and thick now. I want it to be a little bit runny and soupy, like a thick soup almost. Nice and thick, and ooh, I can't wait to get into this here. I'm just gonna give it a quick taste test. Exactly where I want it to be. Got that little kick from that pepper as well too. Turn off my stove, let the residual heat thicken this up a little bit more, and it's good to serve. Chris here, CaribbeanPot.com. Thanks for joining me in the kitchen as usual. I so appreciate it when you guys are here with me. Makes this more fun. It makes it more meaningful for me, knowing that I'm sharing the little that I know about the vast array of foods we have down in the Caribbean. Mango talkari with just a little bit of curry powder in there. Give it a try, guys.